Your life doesn't fall apart in slow motion. Sometimes it snaps between one ring and the next. Mine broke at 11:47 p.m. when a stranger from Chicago said my wife's hotel room wasn't as empty as she claimed. I was half asleep when the phone buzzed on the nightstand, cutting through the dark like it had something personal against me. The other side of the bed was cold and smooth. Emily's pillow sat there untouched, white in the glow from the screen. Chicago time, I thought. She'd texted an hour earlier. Long day, early start, love you. The caller ID just said, Lexington Grand Hotel. I frowned and answered. Hello. Calm male voice. Mr. Cooper? Yeah. Who's this? This is Kevin Ortiz, Chief of Security at the Lexington Grand in Chicago. You're listed as the emergency contact for Emily Cooper, guest in room 1847. Is this a good time to talk? My heart did a small, confused stutter. Is she okay? She's physically fine. This isn't a medical situation, he said. But we have a concern. I wanted to speak with you before involving her conference organizer or, if necessary, law enforcement. I sat up. The room tilted a little. What kind of concern? He didn't rush. Over the last 3 nights, multiple unregistered male visitors have accessed the 18th floor via the service elevator and entered room 1847. Your wife's room. I actually laughed. One short, stupid breath. There has to be a mistake. Maybe We verified the room number, he said. We pulled logs and video. Same room each night. Same knock pattern on the door. Same time window. Between 2 o'clock and 3:30 a.m. The mattress under me suddenly felt unsteady, like bad ground in a dream. What knock pattern? I asked even though I didn't want the answer. 3 quick knocks, pause, then 2, he said. Your wife opens immediately. Each visitor stays for approximately an hour, sometimes longer. None are registered guests. They arrive from the parking garage, use staff access, and depart the same way. Confusion slid into something heavier, lower. Why are you calling me? Because, Mr. Cooper, this pattern looks deliberate. It could indicate escort activity, corporate misconduct, or something else that will matter to her employer. I thought you might want to be aware before I escalate it. My mouth went dry. 8 years of marriage flicked through my head, airport hugs, routine video calls, her complaining about bad conference coffee. Do you have proof? I was forced out. We have clear footage, he said. I can show you everything. But the element of surprise reveals the truth. If you come here without informing her, you'll see what's real, not whatever story she can build after the fact. I stared at the glowing screen long after we hung up. The bedroom felt colder. My hands shook as I opened the airline app. 1:30 a.m. red-eye to Chicago. 1 seat left. I booked it, tossed clothes into a carry-on in the dark, and kept hearing his last line on repeat in my head. The element of surprise reveals the truth. You learn a lot about yourself in the 30 minutes between buying a ticket and leaving your house to catch a red-eye. I moved on autopilot. Carry-on from the closet. 3 shirts, 2 pairs of jeans, underwear, chargers. I didn't even turn on the main lights. Just the lamp on my nightstand and the blue glow from my phone screen, mocking me with old photos of Emily smiling at the camera like the world was simple. A part of me kept waiting to wake up. Another part was already past that, quietly packing for the execution. At the airport, everything felt muted. TSA lines, tired families, the smell of burnt coffee. Normal life going on, like my marriage, wasn't being dissected on a security monitor 2,000 miles away. I sat at the gate with my backpack at my feet, scrolling through our last messages. Love you. Travel safely. Call you tomorrow night, promise. Boring sessions today. Miss you. Boring. Yeah. My thumb hovered over her name. I could have called, asked something casual, listened for a tell. But anything I did now would give her time to prepare, to clean it up, to decide what version of the truth I'd get. I put the phone face down. On the plane, I had the middle seat. No sleep, just recycled air, the low hum of engines, and my brain running old footage instead of the in-flight movie. The first time we met at a friend's barbecue. Our tiny rental apartment with the broken oven. Our wedding cheap suit, her simple white dress, the way she looked at me like I was the safest bet in the room. Then Ortiz's voice cutting through it, clinical and calm. Multiple unregistered male visitors. Same knock pattern. Service elevator. I thought about the calls from this trip. Her complaining about dry chicken at some banquet. She said she was exhausted, turning in early. I'd pictured her alone in a generic hotel room. Laptop open. TV murmuring in the background. Apparently, I'm not great at picturing. O'Hare greeted me with that gray, sleepless airport light. People rushing to connections. Business suits. Roller bags clicking on tiles. I moved through it like a ghost, following the Uber signs, phone buzzing with notifications I ignored. The ride into the city was quiet. The driver had a sports radio on low. I stared out at the skyline as it grew, glass and steel catching the weak morning sun. Chicago looked sharp, clean, and efficient, like a place that processes people, not feelings. Then I saw it, the Lexington Grand. A glass tower, all reflective surfaces and polished edges, pretending to be honest by showing the sky back to itself. From the street, you couldn't see anything that mattered. Just light and angles. I stepped out of the Uber, shouldered my bag, and walked into the lobby. Marble floors, 2 bright chandeliers. The kind of decor designed to impress expense accounts and people who mistake shine for substance. "Mr. Cooper?" a voice asked. I turned. A man in a dark suit with security credentials clipped to his belt. Mid-40s. Steady eyes. "Kevin Ortiz," he said, offering his hand. "Let's go somewhere private." My heart hammered as I followed him behind the front desk, past a door marked employees only, down a short hallway that smelled like coffee and electronics. The security office was small, windowless, packed with monitors. This was where my life was about to stop being a suspicion and become evidence. Ortiz shut the door behind us and the hum of the hotel dropped away, replaced by the soft buzz of electronics. "Have a seat," he said, motioning to a worn swivel chair in front of a cluster of monitors. "I'll show you exactly what we're dealing with." My palms felt slick against the armrests. The date and time glowed in the corner of the main screen as he pulled up a camera feed. 18th floor, service corridor. The image was crystal clear. No grain, no guessing. Just polished hotel carpet, beige walls, and the service elevator doors waiting like a closed mouth. "This is Friday night," Ortiz said. "Or technically early Saturday. 2:11 a.m. He scrubbed forward. The service elevator doors slid open. A man stepped out. Mid-30s. Dark jeans, gray t-shirt, leather jacket. Confident walk. Not drunk stumbling, not lost. He moved like he'd been there before. My chest tightened. We watched him walk straight to a door marked 1847. My wife's room. He lifted his hand and knocked. 3 fast knocks, pause, then 2. Exactly the way Ortiz had described. The door opened almost instantly. Emily. Black silk robe. Loose at the collar. Hair down, falling over one shoulder. She smiled in a way I hadn't seen in years. Easy, warm, intimate. Not the polite smile she used at work. Not the tired smile I got on the couch at the end of a long week. She stepped aside. He walked in without a word. The door shut. Ortiz hit fast forward. The timestamp jumped. 3:23 a.m. The door opened again. The guy stepped out, fixing his shirt. She followed him into the hall, still in the robe, laughing at something he said that the camera couldn't hear. Then he leaned in and kissed her cheek. Not a drunk grab. Not clumsy. Practiced goodbye. She watched him walk back to the service elevator. When the doors closed behind him, she turned, adjusted the robe, and went back into the room. My throat felt tight. I forced air into my lungs. "That was Friday," Ortiz said quietly. "Here's Sunday. New timestamp. Same hallway. Different man. Older this time. Late 40s, maybe. Suit jacket over his arm, no tie, top button open. He came out of the service elevator like it was his private entrance and went straight to 1847. Same knock. 3, pause, 2. Same quick open. Same robe. Same smile. Same routine. Fast forward. Same late exit. Him smoothing his shirt. Her at the door. A hand on her waist this time. Fingers pressing into the fabric. Her not moving away. And Monday, Ortiz said. Younger guy now. Late 20s. Gym built. Hoodie. Backpack slung over one shoulder. Tattoos peeking down his forearm. He didn't hesitate, didn't look around, didn't check the room number. Knock pattern. The door opened. Emily. Same robe. Same intimacy, like he was just clocking in for a shift. I checked them against our guest registry, Ortiz said. His voice flat, professional. None of them have rooms here. All came directly from the parking garage using staff access paths. This is coordinated, not random. Not someone she met at the hotel bar on a whim. On the screen, the younger one left at 3:06 a.m., zipping his jacket as he walked. Emily leaned against the doorframe, saying something with a soft smile that made my stomach twist. The footage ended. The hallway went still again. I stared at the black silk on that screen, the way she moved in it, the easy familiarity with 3 different men in 3 nights. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a one-time lapse. It was a system. I don't know how long I stared at the frozen frame on the monitor. Emily half-turned, robe tied loose, the hallway empty again. Ortiz broke the silence. I'm sorry you had to see that, Mr. Cooper. I swallowed. You were going to be involved in the conference? If you hadn't come, yes, he said. The hotel has a professional conduct agreement with all corporate partners. What she's doing in that room isn't just personal. She's here as a representative of Northview Regional Medical Center. Correct. Yeah. My voice sounded rough. Director of Care Coordination. He nodded. Then this touches them. Misuse of conference privileges. Possible escort activity. Risk to our brand and theirs. That's why I called you first. I wanted to know if you wanted this handled as a screaming match in a hallway. He glanced at me. Or something with actual consequences. The old version of me, the one who still existed yesterday, would have pictured pounding on her door, demanding answers, letting rage take the wheel. Now, watching her kiss different men goodnight like it was nothing, that version of me felt dead. What are my options? I asked. Simple, he said. You confront her alone. She lies, cries, blames stress, alcohol, anything. Or, he tapped the monitor with one finger. We bring in the people whose name badge she's wearing while she does this. We make this bigger than just your marriage, because she chose to make it bigger when she did it on their dime. Emily loved that job. 15 years climbing ladders, sitting on panels, preaching ethics and patient-centered care. She used that career as cover for this. She gambled with more than just me. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a number I'd only used once. Diane Walker, CO. We'd shaken hands at a fundraiser last year. She'd told Emily she was lucky to have such a supportive husband. I hit call. She answered on the second ring. Diane Walker. Ms. Walker, this is Ryan Cooper, Emily's husband. I kept my tone level. I'm in Chicago, at the Lexington Grand. I'm sitting in their security office and you need to see what your director is doing at this conference. A pause. What exactly is she doing, Mr. Cooper? Something that's going to matter to your lawyers, I said, and your ethics committee. By 8:15 a.m., Diane walked into a small hotel conference room with another man in a suit, early 50s, HR written all over him. Tom Reynolds, he introduced himself, HR director at Northview. Ortiz played the footage again. No one talked. Diane's jaw flexed once. Tom scribbled something on a legal pad and then stopped, like there was no point in writing the same thing over and over. When the screen went black, Diane turned to me. Ryan, she said, voice low, controlled. Before we go upstairs, I need to ask you something. What? What outcome are you hoping for here? Because after we knock on that door, none of this goes back in the box. The elevator ride to 18 was silent. Diane stood in front, arms loose at her sides like she was walking into a board meeting, not a minefield. Tom held a folder he didn't need. Ortiz watched the floor numbers climb. I stood in the back corner, hands in my pockets, feeling the slow burn in my chest settle into something solid. Ding. The doors opened to the hallway I'd already memorized from a screen. Carpet. Soft lighting. Room 1847 halfway down on the left. We walked toward it like a firing squad. Ortiz stopped, glanced at Diane. She nodded. He knocked. Not the 3-2 pattern. Just a firm, normal knock. A few seconds passed. I heard movement inside. The lock slid. The handle turned. Emily opened the door in a navy business suit, hair straightened, makeup done, conference badge on a lanyard around her neck. She started with her professional smile. "Hi, can I?" Then she saw Diane. Then Tom. Then me. Color drained out of her face like someone pulled a plug. "Emily," Diane said evenly. "May we come in? What's going on?" Emily's eyes bounced between them and landed on me like I was a problem that shouldn't be there. "Ryan? What are you?" "Inside," Ortiz said quietly. She stepped back. We walked in. The room was immaculate. Bed made. Laptop open on the desk. Suitcase half unzipped. No obvious mess. No trace of the nights I just watched. But I could feel it in the air. I stayed near the door, arms crossed. Diane stood by the desk, composed. "Emily, we have a situation," she said. "It involves your conduct at this conference and at this hotel." Emily shook her head too fast. "I don't understand. I haven't done anything wrong. I've been in sessions, networking." Ortiz spoke up. "We have video footage of multiple unregistered male visitors using the service elevator to access your room over the last 3 nights. All between 2 o'clock and 3:30 a.m. Emily froze. "That's not." She tried to smile, but failed. "This must be some kind of mistake. Maybe they had the wrong." "We verified the room number," Ortiz said. "We can play the footage right now if you'd like." Her eyes flashed in panic. "No," she blurted, then tried to soften it. "I mean, that's not necessary. It's not what it looks like." My voice came out calm and cold. "You in a black silk robe I've never seen, opening the door at 2 in the morning to 3 different guys, then kissing them goodbye at 3:20? I tilted my head. "What exactly is that supposed to look like?" She looked at me like I just hit her. "Ryan, please." "Emily," Diane cut in, tone hardening. "You're here under a professional conduct agreement. If you've been engaging in personal activities with unregistered visitors during a work-sponsored conference, this isn't just your marriage. This is an ethics and liability issue for the hospital." Tears welled in Emily's eyes. She kept blinking them back, mouth working like she was trying out different lies and discarding them. Tom finally spoke, voice quiet. "We need the truth. Now." Emily inhaled, shoulders shaking once. "They're clients," she said. One word. Small, flat. Everything in the room shifted. "Clients for what, exactly?" Diane asked. Emily didn't answer. She didn't have to. We all knew. "Clients for what?" I asked. My voice sounded steady. It was the only steady thing in the room. Emily stared at the carpet. "This isn't. It's not how it looks." Diane didn't move. "Then tell us how it is." Emily's throat worked. "I provide companionship. It's arranged. It's controlled. I'm careful." "Companionship?" Tom repeated. "Be specific." Emily lifted her eyes to mine, then flinched away. "I work with an agency," she said, words coming out flat. "They handle screening. They book me around conferences and travel. Dinners. Overnights. Everything is vetted. It's I-end." My stomach rolled. "So you're a prostitute," I said, the word tasting like acid. She flinched hard. "Don't say it like that. It's not some street corner thing. These are executives, attorneys, surgeons. They pay for discretion. For connection." "How long?" I asked. She hesitated, then exhaled. 2 years. "How many?" I pushed. Her eyes filled again. "I don't know exactly. Ballpark it," I said. "You know. 40. Maybe 50. She swallowed. "Some are repeats." The room went quiet. "And the money?" Diane asked businesslike. "How much are we talking about?" Emily latched onto numbers like they were safer. 5,000 for dinner and a few hours. 10 for overnights. More if they want multiple days. The agency takes a cut. It's significant. Paid how? Tom asked. Crypto, she said. Through a platform the agency uses. They send my share to a wallet. It's clean. Untraceable to the hospital. Diane's eyes narrowed. But traceable to you. And you scheduled these trips, extended stays, and hotel bookings through Northview accounts. Use your work email. Your title. Our reputation. Emily shook her head. Desperate now. I kept it separate. I never mixed patient data with this. I never talked about the hospital. You used our conferences as a storefront. Diane cut in. You used our travel budget as cover. You sat on ethics committees while running escort appointments on the side. Emily's voice broke. I felt stuck, passed over. You have no idea how many times I got told to wait my turn, while less qualified people moved up. The agency, she hesitated. They made me feel valued, in control. The money helped. We could finally breathe. The trips were lies, I said. Every conference where I covered the house, walked the dog, and told everyone how proud I was of my hardworking wife, that was you selling your time and your body to strangers, Emily. You didn't keep that separate. You paid for it with our life. Tears slid down her cheeks. She didn't wipe them. Diane straightened. Decision made. Effective immediately. You're suspended pending a full investigation, she said. Your access to hospital systems will be revoked today. Tom will coordinate the next steps with legal. Tom nodded, already making notes. Ortiz stepped forward, all business. And from the hotel side, Ms. Cooper, your stay here is terminated. You'll need to vacate this room within the hour. Emily looked at me like I might save her. I just looked back, counting in my head. 2 years, 40 to 50 men. All while I thought she was in meetings. When the door closed behind Diane, Tom, and Ortiz, the room felt smaller. Ortiz left a uniformed guard in the doorway. You have 1 hour to pack, Miss Cooper, he said. Then to me, you can stay or step out. Your call. I stayed. Emily stood in the middle of the room, conference badge still hanging from her neck, eyes red, mascara starting to smear. I need to pack, she whispered. Then pack, I said. She moved like a sleepwalker. I opened the closet, pulled dresses off hangers, folded blouses into her suitcase with neat, practiced motions. I'd watched her pack for trips 100 times. Same hands, different reality. I was going to tell you, she said finally. No, you weren't. She swallowed. I kept it separate, Ryan. That was the rule. There's me and there's this. I never brought it home. I will never let it touch us. I let out a short, humorless breath. You used our marriage as a cover story. That's not separate. She kept folding. I did love you, she said quietly. I still do. This was something else. Power. Control. Knowing these men would pay more for one night with me than my job pays in a month. It made me feel important. I cut in. Stronger? You didn't look very powerful on that footage, Emily. You looked like someone who traded 8 years of marriage for a stack of anonymous deposits. She flinched like I'd hit her. How many trips? I asked. Where you told me it was all panels and breakout sessions. A lot, she admitted. Not every time, but a lot. And was it worth it? I asked. The money, the validation. Was it worth the career you just lost? The reputation you torched? The marriage you killed? Her hands stilled on a folded blouse. I don't know anymore, she whispered. I do, I said. I waited until she zipped the suitcase. Here's what happens next, I told her. I'm going home. I'm filing for divorce. I'll arrange with my attorney to collect my things while you're somewhere else. I don't want to see you again unless a judge makes it mandatory. She stared at me, tears tracking silently. I hope the money was worth the cost, I said. The guard in the doorway gave a small nod. Time. I picked up my bag, walked past her, and stepped out into the hallway without looking back. 3 months later, the dust hadn't settled. It had just rearranged itself into new piles. Diane kept me loosely in the loop. Enough to understand the shape of the damage, not every detail. Northview's internal audit tore through everything with Emily's name on it. Expense reports, travel logs, conference registrations, system access. Patterns jumped out fast. Extended stays on the hospital's dime. Networking dinners that lined up a little too neatly with weekend nights in certain cities. Late-night logouts from her laptop that matched the timestamps Ortiz had shown me. Legal got involved when they realized she'd used her work phone to coordinate with the agency. Email timestamps, texts, calls labeled under fake names that weren't fake enough. No patient charts were accessed at weird hours, no obvious HIPAA violations. That kept this out of the headlines. But the optics were bad enough. Escort appointments run out of conference trips. A director using a non-profit hospital's reputation as camouflage. They didn't make a press release. They didn't have to. In the end, they terminated her for cause. No severance. Pension frozen where it was. Stripped of future benefits. Her name disappeared from the leadership page like she'd never existed. The agency folded as soon as reporters started sniffing around conference escort rumors. Website gone. Numbers dead. The whole thing evaporated into smoke and sealed NDAs. In my attorney's office, it was quieter. We went through assets, timelines, accounts. My lawyer, a calm woman in her 40s, slid documents across the table. She's losing more from her job than she's going to lose in this settlement, she said. We can push harder if you want, but you're already positioned to keep the house. Keep it clean, I said. Straightforward. I'm not here to bleed her. I just want out. We signed the papers that made our separate lives official, at least on paper. Months of lies reduced to typed paragraphs and signatures. Sometimes I played the alternate routes in my head. I could have confronted her alone in that room. Let her spin a story until I got tired and decided to believe half of it. I could have agreed to work through it, swallowed the humiliation, and pretended that 2 years of escort work was a kink we'd negotiated instead of a life she built behind my back. Instead, I brought in the people whose badge she wore while she cheated. I let the truth ripple out until it hit every place she'd used as cover. It was destructive, no question. But for once, I wasn't the only one carrying what she'd done. The last signature didn't feel dramatic. Just pen on paper, a scratch, my name one more time at the bottom of a document that said, in legal language, you're done. The attorney slid the stack together, clipped it, and said something about processing and copies. I nodded, half listening. How do you feel about all this, honestly? She asked. I thought about it. About the weeks before Ortiz called, when I'd felt something was off and blamed myself. Maybe I was too distant, too quiet, not ambitious enough. About the nights she'd come home from conferences tired and distracted, and I told myself that was normal. I feel better than I did when I didn't know, I said. Not good, just clear. Any regrets? She asked. I regret who she chose to be, I said. Not what I did about it. 2 years of escort work isn't a mistake. It's a career path. I just made sure I wasn't the only one who had to live with the truth. Outside, the parking lot was cold and bright. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister. Dinner at my place tonight. No arguments. You need a family. For the first time in a long time, the future felt honest. Messy, uncertain, but mine. Therapy, work, rebuilding, and eventually telling this story exactly the way I'm telling it now, so the next man who feels that itch in his gut doesn't ignore it in the name of a comfortable lie.
Subscribe and stay one step ahead of cheaters. And trust me, the next story makes this one look like a fairy tale.